everybody, this is Perch. I was having a chat with Joe previous to, before we start recording. We talk about various things, and it's usually fun. A lot of the conversations I have off the air are some of the best with all kinds of people. But that's what it is. People are a little bit more free to say what's kind of on their mind. But the conversation kind of went to, you can't put things back inside the box, so to speak. That once you've done certain things with characters, it's hard to unwind them back. And in particular, we got King in Black and Eddie Brock, the new King in Black, and he's omnipowerful, and all the heroes are kind of sucking up to him. I remember in Absolute Carnage having kind of this feel when they had Captain America and Spider-Man and all these other characters like really deferring to Eddie, like, oh man, Eddie, we know you're a big hero, and you're calling the shots here. And it just seemed kind of weird that Eddie had gotten to this space because in Spider-Man 300, like they kind of infer that Eddie Brock either super terrorized Mary Jane, or it had a kind of a rapey feel going on to it. Like Eddie Brock was absolutely a bad guy, not just a bad villain, but maybe a really bad villain. Like he traumatized MJ, either scaring her completely senseless or maybe more. It was always a little unclear what was going on there. I remember that Marvel actually in the sometime not too far after the issue 300 issued a statement or made a comment basically to the effect of no, there wasn't rape. He just scared her really bad. But the fact that you have to make a statement of that means that you delivered a powerful moment in this comics, and it's kind of weird to have that moment, and then here we are now with this one. It's kind of like Harley Quinn. A lot of people don't remember, but it's canon that part of her origin was that she sucked at school, at college. They show her like with a test paper that had a D on it, and in order to get an A, she basically screwed the professors. Like they talked about how she slept her way through college in order to get good grades, and that was Harley. She slept to get that A. But that is not that's clearly not part of the origin that they like to tell now. In fact, today it's she's a genius psychologist, and then the Joker was able to kind of twist her mind. But no, she effed for those A's, if you know what I mean. How could you not know what I mean? That actually was not that subtle. It's hard to go back. And so I get questions. I get email from time to time. I get questions. Increasingly with the channel's growth, I start to suspect I'm getting some questions that are not necessarily on the up and up. I now have to be a little bit more careful about things. And this question is like, hey, why don't what would you think about a storyline where we reveal that a member of the Avengers is racist and is like constantly like they go out into battle and they're like oh quick give Black Panther the code so he can disarm this bomb. And they're like I don't know if I trust the black guy to do that job, and just introduce this racist kind of storyline. They're like, well, we could make you could make make Captain Marvel, of course, make Captain Marvel kind of racist, like a racist Karen, and that she has trouble working with like Black Panther and Blade and Robbie, the Ghost Rider character. Make her like, I don't know. She's always like cleaning stuff after they get up off the Avengers table. My answer to that is that's a stupid idea. And it's a stupid idea for so many reasons. The least of which is, do you want to read that comic? Like, it may sound funny kind of in your mind to make Carol Danvers like a super racist character. I mean, that would be an interesting twist to that character, but you wouldn't want to read that over time. Like that wouldn't be a great storyline. But more than that, that would be an example of you're doing something you can't put back inside the box. Like you couldn't have like 20 years later, like the Avengers are racing around and Captain Marvel is, and I mean, at least of all, she dated Rhodey. I mean, does that anyway? You can't. There's storylines you just can't go back from, and that's another reason, by the way, of which are many reasons why doing social angles in comics is often a bad idea. As soon as you like reveal a character to be a bigot or a racist or a homophobe or they're intentionally killing off the environment, or I mean, as soon as you have them do one of these things, it just is weird. If you have a character, hero or villain, by the way, just start raping people. Like you can't then have that character have a fun, wacky adventure, on the team. It's done at that point. You've crossed. It's a one-way trip. If you introduced Carol, right now there's so many listeners right now are like, yes, they should absolutely do this with Carol, and then we'll never see her again. Okay, just cool your jets. It's like you can't come back from things like that. You can't do a storyline, Yeah, and again, even with the villains, like let's say you decide to make, I don't know, pick a villain like the Absorbing Man. Well, that's terrible. That's not a good example. Take one of the Wrecking Crew. All right, Wrecking Crew is not terribly fleshed out, group of characters. They just kind of show up and they destroy some things, and then usually Avengers show up and they have some punches, and then they put them away. The Wrecking Crew hasn't had a really great arc on their own for a long time. There's not a lot to them. But let's say you make one of the Wrecking Crew into like a pedophile character. You can't really you can't continue from that. Like there's no, like, the next time they go up and face the heroes, like is everybody just not going to mention this? That like I mean, like at that point you have to put the character in jail. You throw away the key. The character never shows up again. But even like when you're reading old back issues, like nobody wants to do that. That's why the world outside your window, hyper realism, these kinds of things in comic books, it does not work very well. You just you really can't have pedophile as a storyline in the Marvel universe. It doesn't work. And I know there people have said, well, we should be realistic. Why can't it work? No, it doesn't work. It's like if you want to try and make one of the characters in Marvel, like one of the heroes, have a animal fetish. Like again, you can't do that. You can't come back with that. Even if you kind of hint at it, it tarnishes the character forever. Like look at the no matter what they have done, and lots of writers have tried to redeem Hank Pym. In fact, John Byrne did storyline. Maybe it wasn't John Byrne. Maybe it been before Byrne. There were storylines in West Coast Avengers called the Redemption of Hank Pym, but there is no redemption. It's just like a couple more years go by, we're right back to where we were with Hank Pym. Once you show a character doing domestic violence, it's over at that point. You've got you've got a done character, and so you do have to be careful with these moments where it at your best case scenario is like Venom, where 30 years ago you can have Spider-Man 300, and Venom can terrorize Mary Jane and do who knows what. And then 30 years later, he can be the King in Black, and you save New York, the world, throw people into the sun. It's awesome. But that's why you just can't do certain things with certain characters. Like have like if they had, I mean, you have the Black Knight, right? Go on just a drunken bender, and get way too handsy with other members of the Avengers. And you render all this in the comic. You can't then have like the Black Knight's adventures in the next crossover. You couldn't do it. Like the character's done at that point. I don't know. Am I wrong? No. So what about you? First off, are you with this person who wrote the mail that they want to see a racist member of the Avengers, and does anybody want to see that? Like I got a question. Who wants that? Well, why do you want that? That's a very weird thing to want. Like I have a hard time in my head putting these two pieces together. Like, hey, on one hand, we got the Avengers. They're going to go up against Masters of Evil, and it's going to be this huge, drawn-out fight. And then Kang's going to show up to screw up things again, like he always does. And then we're going to have some racism. And then it's back to another adventure with Kang. It's like, I think it won't work. You can't. Like, like what if you make Captain America like racist, and then the next time he's like, Avengers assemble, and they're like, no, not really. We're not gonna You're not going to do that. That doesn't work anymore. I don't think you can do it. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below if you think these storylines have a place. But I think there's a one way door with a lot of this stuff, and you can't turn it around again. That's my theory anyway. Hey, like and subscribe. Sure, why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for listening.